Most of us have stowed away important life lessons from our fathers, sometimes mothers, nuggets of wisdom we hope to pass on to our children, and that's the case with Mary Bickelmeyer Lucas. Her father inspired her to write a new book about him. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is called Lunch Meat and Life Lessons, and you kind of have to explain to people, in case they don't know who your father is, why the lunch meat part.
Well, my father is John Bickelmeyer, and he had started Bickelmeyer Meats in Kansas City, Kansas, and he was kind of well known around the Kansas City area as being almost a city philosopher. When he passed away 2 years ago, and actually it's ironic I'm here today because it was 2 years ago today that we buried him. Oh. And he was written up in the paper right after he died as Shawnee Luz's city philosopher. And in the Armourdale district, Kansas City, Kansas, very well known. He not only dished out, would give out the ground beef and bacon and the sides of beef, all of that. He also gave a little bit of wisdom just about with everyone he touched. He was really a great go-to person for a little bit of wisdom, and that's what the book's all about.
Many people lose parents at different ages. Sometimes you're in your 20s, sometimes it's before you're born, sometimes you're 40 or 50 yourself. You have quite a few people. You're one of 10, and you're number 9 out of 10. So your parents were a little older. You have 2 sons, and you were worried that your sons might not get to really know Grandpa.
And I think it was also the great-grandchildren, the great-great-grandchildren. As you said, I'm number 9 of 10. We had Joan, Judy, Johnny, Jimmy, Joey, Jerry, Jeannie, Jane, Mary, named after my mother, and Barbara. And all of us would go to Dad for advice and wisdom, and Mom, too. Dad was a little bit more outgoing in terms of what he shared. So I thought, after he passed away, everyone deals with grief a little differently. And we had a horrible time. We lost my sister and my father within 24 hours of each other 2 years ago. And everyone deals with grief differently. I just started writing down the bits of wisdom that Dad shared with me. And as we said, it's for my boys, Chase and Nick, but it's also for the great-grandchildren and the grandchildren who won't have a chance to know him like we all were blessed to.
You have it broken up into many different areas of his life, but in these, and I'm going to show everybody, you have kind of highlighted one of his lessons that goes with the chapter that you've written.
Right.
This one is, don't take life too seriously. You're never going to get out of it alive anyway.
Right.
What are some of your favorite things that you remember him saying?
Well, it all starts out with, again, I wrote the book from my perspective of what he taught me, and I really got I got to the point where I asked his advice when I started work for the first time. I was working in a real office, and the first thing he said to me, for the butcher's wisdom, was, the first hunk of meat you sell is yourself.
Yeah.
And he said, you have to make sure you make a positive first impression. Make sure you connect with people, just like at the meat market. What they do is, when they walk in, they're yelling your name, hello. They're, in business today, so often you don't get recognized or greetings. And
you don't get people.
Right.
You lose the people.
He felt so strongly about the fact that the first impression you make is so important. And then the second thing he said was, don't forget the comeback sauce. Make sure you pour the comeback sauce on everybody you connect with, whether you want to or don't want to connect with them again. It's really important to make sure that you make a lasting impression as well.
Mary Lucas, thanks so much for coming in and sharing your stories about your father. If you would like some life lessons to take home with you, you can find Lunch Meat and Life Lessons in area bookstores, including Brady Day Books, Borders on Metcalf and Overland Park, and Amazon.com, along with Bickelmeyer Meats in Kansas City, Kansas.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.